This is She Fascinates Me, a podcast about women who are living with intention, curiosity, and heart. I'm Julie Silber, and in each episode, I'm bringing you conversations with women who inspire fascination in all its forms. Today's guest is portrait photographer and lifestyle parenting content creator Alice Park. I have to say, I am so impressed by the way she does it all. But there's a reason that she's able to do it all, and it's because of her intentionality about work-life balance. I know we hear that buzzword all the time, but she lives it, she embodies it, and it was really incredible to learn about it. So enjoy our conversation and wait until you hear about her morning routine. It's pretty fascinating. Hello and welcome to She Fascinates Me. Today I get to be in the studio of portrait photographer Alice Park in Atlanta. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much, Julie. It's so exciting to be here with you.
I am so glad you're here. So I'm going to start off with a goofy little thing. You know, in all of the research I've done about you and all of the deep dives I've made into your social media, I came up with a funny little acronym for PARK. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So philosophical is P, ambitious is the A, reflective is the R, and because you are so much about connection, kindred is the K.
Oh, I love that.
So there you go.
Love that.
So I just felt like that would set the tone for the story that I want to tell about you and everything that you have done with your career, starting off as one of the Southeast's most sought after portrait photographers. And I'm sure you didn't start off that way. It took a lot to build your business to get there. But I'd love to just hear about your education and how you got started in photography, and we'll just see how the conversation goes from there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here today and for inviting me onto your podcast. I am so honored to be here with you. So my story, I went to school for engineering per my parents' request. In the Asian household, especially with immigrant parents, you either had a choice of being an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or in academia. I wasn't really thrilled about either one of those. I thought maybe I wanted to be a physician because I loved helping people. And so I went on to get an engineering degree with the purpose of later going on to med school. First year at Georgia Tech, I was failing biology.
Okay.
And so I realized that wasn't probably going to be my path. And so I started to really question why I was there, what my purpose was, and how the heck I was going to graduate.
Okay.
I really wanted to take advantage of the school setting that I was in. Georgia Tech has a phenomenal industrial engineering program, and so I said, let's get an engineering degree and see if we can go into the route of business instead.
Okay.
And so I finished and I got a degree in industrial engineering. First year out of school, I was being groomed to play a leadership role in the company that I was with. I loved all of the people that I was working with, but there was something missing inside of me. I would find myself gravitating towards the window of our corporate high-rise and really staring off and thinking, like, what more is there out there for me?
Okay.
And so kind of about halfway into my first year in the corporate world, I ran into my now husband. He was out at a happy hour with me and some of my colleagues, and we started talking. We just hit it off really quickly, and I started to share with him about how I was really unhappy with my work, and I really didn't know the direction I wanted to go in my life. And he asked me this one question, and I kind of feel like set the trajectory of my entire life and our relationship, which was, if you could do anything for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Wow.
And without hesitation, I said I wanted to be a photographer.
Wow. Okay.
So that was it. Like, his response was, without really even knowing me, but just kind of hearing my response and what I endeavored in doing, he said, well, let's figure out how you can do that.
Was there any background in that? Had you tinkered around with photography, or did it just seem like some dream job that maybe you wanted to look into?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was 12 years old, I remember being such a shy little girl and a bit introverted, kind of unsure of myself, really didn't know how to connect with my peers. And so my father one day just handed me his old Nikon film camera.
Okay.
And he said, just go have fun. This is something to do. I know that you're itching to like learn something new and kind of connect with the world in a different way. And so handed me his camera. I fell in love with it. Like on fishing trips with my family, you would see me kind of off on the side taking pictures while the rest of my family was, catching all the great fish. And it was just like my little escape. And it was also my way of connecting with my subjects, with the environment, with the world. And I realized that it was like something that I was really passionate about. I didn't know until later on, probably about high school, that there could be potential in doing this every day for the rest of my life. And so I'd never really explored it. But as I started talking to my husband on that one night, we started putting the pieces together and we realized that there was definitely potential in that.
Okay. This might be a kind of a silly question. You're going to have to go way back into the memory banks. What were some of those photos that you took when you were first handed that camera?
Oh my goodness. I remember taking a picture of anything and everything that fascinated me, which was one of the most beautiful things about this piece of equipment, this small piece of equipment that allows us to open our eyes and see things that we wouldn't normally stop to pause at. So the fish that my family caught, I would take a picture of them holding it, and then I would get really close in to get the fish itself. I remember taking a picture of my younger brother's hands when he was an infant, and his eyes looking up at me when he would stare into my camera with this curiosity. And I remember during travels always having my camera on hand and taking a picture of all the things that fascinated me, that was new, that was colorful, that was intriguing, and using that piece of equipment to kind of connect with what was going on in my environment. It was just everything and anything that piqued my interest.
I love it. Do you still have that camera?
I do.
I bet you cherish it.
I do.
Oh, wow. Do you use it?
I don't. Sadly, not enough. I think when everything shifted to digital, it made it harder and harder to pick up traditional film cameras. But I absolutely need to go back to it. And
it's really cool how so many of the young kids out there are wanting to get into the actual film cameras. Just to know that it's not being recorded, it's just tangible and real. Yeah.
Very true.
Oh, well, what a wonderful backstory there. So why don't you fast forward and take us to the point maybe where I met you. Gosh, my daughter is 20 years old, and I remember visiting Santa Claus, and it was such an event at the B. Braithwaite baby store. You had to get your photos taken by Alice Park with the most beautiful Santa in the country. And at that point, I think my daughter was probably 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and you were already the best photographer, and you just had to have your photos taken by Alice. So tell me about that time in your career here in Atlanta.
Yeah, so I met this most amazing fellow female entrepreneur. Her name is Chaffee. She's the owner of Baby Braithwaite. The very beginning of my career, she was starting out, I was starting out at the same time, and our paths kind of crossed. I remember walking into her beautiful store and introducing myself and showing her my product, which was a coffee table album of children in the day of their life, and she absolutely loved it. She and I figured out a way to work together because we realized we shared a lot of the same clientele.
Sure.
And she had this wonderful idea of bringing a Santa experience to her clients that was unlike anything out there, different from long lines,
Right. There's just more sophisticated, take your kids to sit with Santa moment. Yeah.
Yes, and having pictures that kind of, with a photographer who waited patiently to ensure that that child had ample time to warm up and really have a conversation with Santa. So she wanted to create a polished, sophisticated, but really custom Santa experience for her clientele. And of course, I loved the idea of that. And before we knew it, she had a wait list that was a mile long.
Yes.
Everybody in the city and the surrounding areas wanted to get a ticket to her Santa portraits, and we just kind of grew it together over the next, I feel like, 10 to 15 years.
Okay, so I love that female empowerment. Let's support one another. We share the same kind of clients, and your career really snowballed, I think, from that point on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like the combination of her introducing me to some of the most amazing clients that quickly helped spread the word for me, and bringing a unique product to the marketplace that no one had ever seen, was like the combination of the two helped me grow really quickly in the early years of my photography business.
Tell me more about that product, that coffee table book.
Yeah, so just like, you know, when you get married, you put together your favorite images to tell the story of your wedding day in a beautiful coffee table book.
Yes.
I was able to find my uncle who created these albums in Taiwan, and I would send him the photos, and he would piece together these beautiful handmade custom photo albums, kind of chronicling a day in the life in a child's life. And so I would go in and spend a few hours with the family and take pictures, kind of day in the life, very photojournalistic. I would piece together the best images, and I would tell the story of the child's life. I would design it from start to finish. It would usually be about 30 to 50 pages long. Sometimes I would include details, like I would have a page called Show and Tell of the child's favorite toys and stuffed animals. And so it would be a combination of beautiful imagery with words that kind of told the story of the child's life. And so when I introduced that to Atlanta, everyone went crazy over them. You had to have one for every child, their first year, second year, third year, the first year of the child's life. And so it really resonated quickly, and everybody loved it, and I became really busy very early on.
So there was a component where you were actually writing as well. It wasn't just a photo book, it was actually including, was it essay style or just kind of commentaries below the photos, artistically written?
Yeah, it was commentary, little sentences that the child would say that I would pick up during our conversation or during the photo shoot itself that I thought was worth remembering.
I kind of feel like Southern women are really good at keeping up with photographing their families and documenting special milestones and events and the holidays and all of that. And you were making that into an actual product that they could like realize, you know, their dreams of creating this for their families. And then social media comes and Pinterest and all of that, and it becomes this really attainable concept for people all over the world to be able to do this. And so I must imagine that you were probably feeling like, wow, this is really, really scalable.
Yeah, I think there's a really lost art in the tangible art form. So photo albums, like printed prints, like wall galleries that line your home. Every time you walk in, you see your children's faces and your family faces smiling back at you.
Yeah.
When the digital photography and the digital era really became a thing, digital cameras, like social media, the idea of taking a picture with your own phone and then posting it for instant feedback from friends and family, it really shifted a lot for us as photographers. And so I knew that I had to shift and evolve as a business as well to keep up. So now I think even more so, the clients that I had in the beginning years of my business that have those tangible albums that I created so early on in my career, that's so special, and I am so glad that I was able to provide that for them.
It's really precious, and otherwise you've got thousands of photos on your phone and no time to actually catalog or organize it. And so the people who have been able to work with you and have those keepsakes that they can just hold and pull out by the fire and share with family are really, really valuable in so many ways, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So certainly the digital age crushed a lot of photographers' dreams and hurt their businesses, but you had the wherewithal to come up with what you were going to do next and how you were going to embrace it. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When digital photography started to shift into mobile devices, that's when it got really exciting. And honestly, I used it as an opportunity more so than a threat to my business to empower my clients and my friends and people around me to take better pictures of their own children. Because I feel like that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, we and our beautiful professional photography, the portraits that line our walls, are our most prized possessions, but it's those candid moments that are at home with our children that we as mothers and fathers see with our own eyes and without strangers into their homes or professionals in their homes documenting, that mean the most to us, I feel like.
True.
And so I used, the evolution of mobile photography as an opportunity to really empower parents with taking better pictures of their children. And so that's when I started to step out of being the sole photographer in my family's lives to being the person who taught them and empowered them to take better pictures. I started to step out into social media. I started embracing all of the amazing things that it offered. And I would come on Instagram and I would do like Tuesday's tips and Tuesday's tutorials, teaching everyday mothers and fathers how to utilize all of the great technology out there to take better pictures of their children.
Okay. And is that something that was monetized, or you were just kind of doing it to put it out there and create some community and maybe expand your reach?
Yeah, absolutely. It was never with the intent of monetizing. I did it mostly to extend my reach, to connect more with my audience, and to provide something that was of value to them. I really felt like the knowledge that I had up here, you know, and being behind the camera for so many years can be like simplified and can be teachable and can be passed on to everyday women and men who just wanted to capture their family better.
Sure. So did you at a certain point realize, you know what, I'm going to talk a little bit about my background and my upbringing. Can you explain maybe what those posts were like?
Yeah, so social media can be such a daunting place. When you put yourself out there, you're sharing some of the most vulnerable moments. And I realized that when I was the most vulnerable and honest with my audience, that was when the connection was the strongest. I would have other mothers reach out to me and share similar experiences, similar stories, and that was when it took the connection piece from just like me speaking and them following to us connecting on a deeper level, maybe on the level of two mothers talking side by side. And so that's when I realized the power of social media and the connection that could come from it. So I would start sharing a little bit more about my parenting journey, some of the obstacles I was experiencing, maybe some of the conversations I was having with my husband. He would think one way, I would think another way, and we would try to find our way in the middle, and sometimes open up the conversation with those that followed along on our journey. And then I realized somewhere along the way that the most requested topic for me to come and talk to everyone about was parenting, because I think in some sort of way we all were struggling and trying to figure it out together. And so that
we're wondering, how are others doing this? Am I doing this right? And you've got just such a nice approachable way about you, and I think people really admired you and trusted you to kind of lean on if they wanted to know which direction to go in. And now we'll take a moment for the giving intermission. Don't fast forward, your karma is watching. Today's giving intermission is all about a place where hope meets healing, St. Jude Children's Hospital. St. Jude leads the world in treating and curing childhood cancers and other life-threatening diseases. And what makes St. Jude truly remarkable is its mission. No family ever pays for treatment, travel, housing, or food because they should only worry about helping their child heal. St. Jude shares its discoveries freely so doctors everywhere can save more children. That means when you support St. Jude, you're not just helping one child, you're helping families across the globe. Here's how you can get involved. Visit stjude.org to learn about donation options from one-time gifts to monthly support, or participate in local events like St. Jude Walk or Run or community fundraisers. Or you can even consider volunteering your time or talents with a local affiliate or awareness campaign. When you give to St. Jude, you're giving courage, comfort, and the chance for a brighter future. That's hope in action. That comes with some responsibility. So did you ever feel pressure, like, oh my gosh, I'm putting this out there and I've got X number of people kind of following these posts. I better really get this right. Or did you find yourself being really candid and saying, look, let's learn together. Let's figure this out together.
Like, I'm such a risk taker. And I kind of jump before I really think, and so my natural inclination is not really to worry about it all. Just kind of go with the flow and figure it out along the way. The more open and honest I am about it, and the more thoughtful I was about it, the more I invited conversations to come in. Sometimes I would get it wrong, and sometimes people would point me out on it, and I love that for them, and I love that they would do that for me.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I feel like the less I really found myself holding back on conversations that really needed to happen, the less potential powerful conversations could be had. And so
Right.
I think that's what everyone really loved about me. I was just always very vulnerable, honest, and real.
Okay. So at the time that you're putting yourself out there and getting personal and sharing all these stories and building your social media presence, you could have gone in a full-on social media direction, but you were still balancing the photography. So is that something that was difficult or challenging to do, or did it just kind of come naturally where they bounce off one another?
I like to share with all my friends who have a presence on social media of any sorts to really just find joy in the content creation, whether it be a job. And I feel like that I've always taken on that approach. I never really sought out to be a content creator or to have a presence on social media of any sorts. I just always felt social media was an extension of my brand. It was a way for me to connect with my clients and families that share in a similar season as me. I never thought it would grow to this capacity. I never thought that there would be moms out there that really look to me for parental guidance. And so it was never my intent to come on to social media and be any sort of presence in the way that it has over the last couple of years. But I have always utilized social media as a way for me to find joy. Like to create and to share and to be inspired, and to share about things that inspire me. Because at the end of the day, if it's not enjoyable to me, you can ask anyone that I've ever worked with, I drop it. And if it's not something that I find joy and fulfillment in, it's not something that I'll spend my time in. So I really just come on social media because it honestly brings me a lot of joy.
Okay. Well, and it's a way for people to find out about you. And I think a lot of mothers who were interested in going back into the workplace started realizing, gosh, I'd love to be like Alice Park one day. I wonder if there's some way that I could get involved in that business. And so was it, talk about your co-founding the NAPCP, the National Association of Professional Child Photographers. Did I get that right?
That's right.
So that involves mentoring and helping people build their businesses. I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah. So about 5 years into our business, we realized that with the digital evolution and digital cameras coming about, a lot of moms were picking up an amazing camera, the digital SLR, learning to use it, taking great pictures of their children, and finding themselves in a business before they even knew they were in a business. It was just one of those things that beautifully evolved. We saw it happen over and over and over again.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about how that happens, because I think these moms, they picked up the camera, they realize they have this talent, and then their friends are seeing their pictures and they're like, oh my gosh, would you take pictures of little Johnny and his sister for us at the park today? And that leads into this woman who is a mom juggling motherhood and feeling the ego boost of being good at what she's doing and wanting to turn it into a business, but maybe not knowing how. So that's where you came in, huh?
Yes. And NAPCP really existed to be, number one, a community for other professional family and child photographers, but also a place for you to learn to actually run a business. So many times, a lot of these moms would pick up the camera and they would be asked by a lot of neighbors and friends in their circle to take professional pictures of their family, but they wouldn't know how to charge. They wouldn't know how to price, and they wouldn't know how to create this passion of theirs into a business so that it remains sustainable and a part of their everyday life. And soon after, they would burn out. They would realize they're not charging enough, and
Right.
they were paying more in childcare for someone to watch their child while they photographed another family, and it would lead to burnout and would lead to the decline of their business. And so that's where NAPCP came into play. I was really passionate about teaching other moms how to create a really good living doing what they love doing, and so that's how NAPCP was born.
So I'm curious what the format is. Let's say I'm that mom photographer. Do I join NAPCP? What is the education like? Is it one-on-one or groups?
To join NAPCP, all you need is a business license and a portfolio of some sort. It could be a website with a gallery showcasing your work as a professional photographer, focusing on children and family, or it could be an Instagram page where it houses your portfolio of images. And so once you join, you know that you're in a community of photographers who specialize in your work. So there is a forum for you to be able to ask questions, any questions that you have regarding your business. And then there's also lots of webinar opportunities. There are experts in our industry that talk about social media, that talk about email marketing, that talk about pricing, that talk about editing and workflow and systems, and all the things to run your business that you can learn from. And we also host office hours once a month where I come on with my head of community and we answer all questions regarding where our members are in their business, whether they're stuck in reaching a goal of theirs that they set for the beginning of the year, or they're trying to reach that next level in their business and they need a little bit of guidance getting there.
You're making a huge impact. And, you know, for women to be able to have the pleasure of pursuing that creative outlet and doing a good job of it with proper business structure and support, rather than just being a lone wolf trying to figure it out and cobbling it together and making a mess along the way. It's just wonderful what you've done. So kudos to you.
Thank you. It's been fun.
So you've got this Instagram community just growing and growing, and you've got all these parents, mostly women, walking alongside of you, and you turn around and you look behind you, you're like, wow, that's a lot of people. We're like a pack now. At some point, did you realize, okay, I want to formalize this in some way? Did you have like an actual light bulb moment for that?
Yeah, it was sometime in 2025 actually, when I realized more people were following me because of my personal relationship with my children and my family than through all of the business ideas that I would share. And that's when it became really vulnerable and real.
Okay.
Because I think what may set me apart to many on social media is that I talk a lot about things that are behind closed doors or behind the curtain that
Can you give an example?
That don't talk about, like for example, marriage. I'm married to my business partner, and Q and I often have conversations that are very universally, like a lot of people have these really tough conversations with their partners. They may not be business partners with them, but the challenge of moving forward every day and working on your marriage is a very real thing. And when I open up and talk about the real hard and sweet moments that we have, I think that really resonates with a lot of people. And back in the day when I was really growing on social media, a lot of people didn't talk about the hard marriage days and the hard parenting days and the really difficult decisions I had to make that impacted in the thought process that went into it. And I think that's when I really started to develop a connection with everyone.
Can you remember one particular story or post that you shared where you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm putting this out there, but I guess I'm just gonna do it, and the one that stuck? Do you remember what that might have been?
Yeah, actually I do. It was when I revealed and opened the curtain to the admissions process for independent schools. So when I was going through the independent schools admissions process for my now 14-year-old, so he was 4 years old back then, 10 years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, this is harder than college admissions.
Oh, you're talking about the JATP, right?
Yes, JATP. The observation and starting the process, when they're really 3 years old.
And you're like, really? We're doing this to these kids at this age?
Being blown away. What is the JATP? Why does my child need to sit down with a licensed therapist and, work through building blocks and everything. But I realized through the process that, number one, a lot of moms didn't talk about it. Everything that I learned was in carpool with other parents trying to figure it out. And number two, it was a very overwhelming emotional process. A lot of the mothers going through this were just seeking options for their child, and sometimes they needed someone to kind of walk them through the process that wasn't an admissions officer or a licensed therapist or maybe even their school program director. And so I think I became that friend for a lot of people. I was that carpool mom that always spoke honestly on what I was going through, and I shared a lot of secrets and insight. And I remember making a formal post about that and releasing it into the world, knowing that I would probably get some backlash from people. But it was actually so widely received. It was, and it still is, the most shared content that I've ever put out there. And I think to this day, a lot of the nuances and the insight that I included in that piece is still relevant. And so it's still, like, everyone talks about it. Everyone is still reaching out to me to say how grateful that I've put it out there. And I feel like that was when it all shifted for me.
Okay. So then realizing that you're becoming this trusted fellow mom in the social petri dish of the carpool group, you started to formalize some content. For example, I'm just so impressed by what I'm seeing in Life by Design that you're putting out for 2026 and your Crane Mom content. Can you kind of explain what that's all about and how it came to be?
Yeah. In conversations with a lot of moms, I think that's the question I receive a lot, like, how do you do it? And how do you have such a balanced approach to life? And I think growing up in an immigrant family and watching my own mom struggle so much to not just provide for the family, but to be the kind of mom that is present and intentional with their children, it was really, really hard. And so I know for myself, that is one of my priorities, is always just making time and space for my children and family, and then trying to figure out how to strategically design your life so that you can be a successful business owner, like really climb in your career and be fully present in your children's life, where you know the heartbeat of what's going on in their lives and you can be there with them every step of the way. I think that's what I really wanted for myself. And the more I shared with how I was doing it, the more a lot of the moms that followed along really wanted to learn and do beside me. And so I started to kind of formalize, take the big things that were in my head that really worked for me and simplified it into like a little playbook.
Yes.
And so that was what Life by Design was all about. It was really just aligning and intentionally like recognizing what the important things in your life are and then making decisions that aligned with it. Yes. So that's what Life by Design is all about. And in terms
of keeping us on track, and
yes.
especially now in this day and age, I always feel like an old person when I say that, in this day and age, but there's so many distractions. And I feel like with each passing year, I'm getting busier and busier and busier with less and less time for myself. And it's great just to have a formula, I think, and someone kind of guiding you through to keep you on track for what's really important.
Yeah, I think the more we create boundaries for ourselves, the less busy we become with the things that are not important to us. And that's where Life by Design is really all about. It's really identifying your values and where you want to spend your time, and then making sure you set boundaries for yourself. So you're saying yes to the things that are important to you and no to the things that don't align with it. And when you have that formula, you're not crazy busy all the time, and your life is truly peaceful.
Well, let me put you on the spot and ask you, what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to?
Yeah, I'm saying yes to all the things that my children are wanting to do with their lives. They are in a season now where they are becoming. It's a really beautiful season of parenting that I want to sit front row to.
Yes.
My children are both expressing to us like what they're passionate about, what they're excited about, what they're having trouble with, and they're navigating the typical teen things, friendship things, and I want to say yes to time with them. I want to say yes to the opportunities that present themselves to them. So,
Yes.
for example, my daughter is really passionate jewelry designer, and she told me the other day she wanted to turn her little pop-up shop into a global brand. And so I am like really enjoying sitting down with her and like walking her through the entrepreneurial process and teaching her some skills to take her little business idea to like the brand that she envisions. And so I'm having a lot of fun with her. Also with my son, his sports schedule, of course, as we know, is out of control. I want to make sure that I'm picking him up and I'm taking him to where he needs, and we're having all those amazing conversations in between. So that's what I'm saying yes a lot to right now. And I know it comes at sometimes the sacrifice of growing my career. So I'm saying no to a lot of things that happen after 3 p.m. I'm saying no to a lot of events that happen in our area that I would probably have a lot of fun with and probably help the trajectory of my career, but doesn't align with me and where I'm at right now because it takes me away from my family.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying no to a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Well answered on the spot, my dear. So now we have to go all the way back to your childhood and talk about how the Crane Mom concept was born. Will you do that for me?
Absolutely. So, like many first-generation Asian Americans, I was raised by a tiger mom. The whole idea of tiger mom kind of came about in the late 1900s, and it was around this parenting philosophy of having to push, having to raise up your children to be high achievers, successful, driven, and really going out into the world and being like hyper vigilant about making a huge impact. And so my mom wanted that for me because she wanted a better life for me. She came to this country and she knew that there were endless opportunities here. But in order for me to have a fulfilling life and have a happy life, I needed to make a lot of money, I needed to have a good job, and I needed to have a safe and secure living. And so that's where she pushed me, and that's where I developed a lot of my grit, a lot of my work ethic, and a lot of who I am as a person. And I do credit a lot of that type of mentality to who I am.
Beautiful full circle moment. You and I also had a conversation before we scheduled our talk today about how we could have a whole conversation about being part of the sandwich generation.
Yes.
And the caregiving element of caring for aging parents. So that's something that you're involved in. Your family's in South Georgia. Now it's our turn to do for them what they did for us.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel people are leaning on you in that regard as well with your social platform?
I think it's an unspoken conversation. We are all finding ourselves in this sandwich generation. Not a lot of people are talking about it because...
Yet, it's coming.
It's coming. It is coming. We're raising two generations at the same time, including ourselves, and it's challenging. And I think a lot don't realize, especially in the household of an Asian family, how much really rests on us to care for our parents and how proactive we really have to be to get ahead of all the things that could be really hard in the future. And so just being aware of what's coming and having those really difficult conversations with our aging parents and with our siblings and with our partners, I think helps tremendously. And so that's what we're doing. We're just trying to get ahead of it all. And then we're trying to be as present in our parents' lives as possible.
Yeah. It's an interesting dichotomy right there, trying to get ahead but also be really present. Yeah. So, well, you do everything really, really beautifully, it sounds like, in your business and in giving to the community and helping people grow, tending to your own family needs. What about the self-care for you? It sounds like you could use a spa day with all of the time you're putting out into the universe. What does Alice Park need to recharge her batteries?
Oh my gosh, I get my recharge every morning.
Okay.
I designed it in my life. It is so life-giving. Every morning after my husband takes the kids to school, they've left, I give myself 3 hours.
Alice, 3 hours? What do you do with 3 hours?
I know, it's a
Sounds
sacrifice that I make, but I intentionally designed this into my life
Okay.
for a reason because it is so life-giving. I kid you not. If I could tell women all over the world to give yourself one thing, it would be a peaceful morning every day.
Okay.
So in 3 hours, what I do is I usually get up, I put my clothes on, I take my dog out for a walk. We take a really long walk together, and then I come back and I do my exercise. It usually involves like Tai Chi, and maybe some strength training, and then I play with my dog, and then I go back in my house and I give myself a little bit of quiet time, whether it's reading or, whether it's like, meditation. I just give myself about 10 minutes to take a breather and to really reflect on what's coming and what happened. And so that 10 minutes really grounds me. And then I go through and I reset my house. It honestly is knowing that I have this time in the morning to reset the house. It kind of resets my mind at the same time.
Okay.
So I'll use the opportunity to listen to a podcast or to read an audible book, and I will put things back into place. I'll take a moment to organize a space that may need a little bit of organization. And then I'll reset the house, and then I'll take the time to sit down and really just kind of map out what my day looks like. And so those 3 hours, it feels like it takes a long time. It feels like a good chunk of your day, but by that point, I'm ready to like start running in my day. So I'll spend the next 4 hours focused, deliberate, really intentional, and I'll get like really good work done.
Really great structure. I mean, that whole thing about resetting the house, I mean, if you're doing some of that every single day, then you're not really going to end up in a situation where you've got a disaster on your hands.
Yes.
So such intentionality, it's really, really admirable. So, I mean, you're so structured and so thoughtful, and you've got these wonderful perspectives that so many of us admire and want to emulate. But girl, do you have like a guilty pleasure? What are your...
Oh my gosh.
What might you be embarrassed to say that you enjoy? Like for me, it's The Real Housewives.
For me, it's the same thing. It's just trashy TV.
Okay.
TV that just doesn't make sense, but when you see the train wreck happen in other people's lives, it makes you feel a little bit better about your life, and it's just so entertaining.
It really is.
And it's
I cannot believe
gossip.
you answered with that. Okay, this is awesome.
Guilty pleasure,
This
100%.
is awesome. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to finish with one last question. What do you want women to feel when they spend time with you in your corner of the internet?
I really feel like I want women to feel like they're not alone. I think we're all just kind of going through life with one thing after the other that we're having to solve or fix or figure out. And at the end of the day, we're more similar and more connected than we give ourselves credit for. And I know we all know this because we have those conversations at dinner with our girlfriends, in carpool, like on our way out the door with children in one hand and like a briefcase in the other hand, like around the water cooler. And we're realizing like a lot of the same challenges that we're facing, they are as well. And so I feel like by opening up and sharing some of my journey, it's allowing people to feel not so alone and a little bit more seen. And so I hope by sharing a little bit more, people feel that they have their community.
Talking with Alice really stayed with me. Despite all she has achieved and what she continues to build for herself and her family every single day, I admire the way she parents and leads her life. She is so clear about what matters most, and she protects it with real discipline. With over 50,000 followers on Instagram, I loved that there was no influencer tone at all, even though she's so incredibly influential. Her impact comes from the way that she actually lives, putting family first, taking care of herself with that morning routine of hers, right? Oh my goodness. And making thoughtful choices about how she spends her time. So in a world that's constantly pushing us to do more, I thought that Alice was such a beautiful reminder that success can also look like being present, grounded, and deeply connected to the people you love. And that is exactly why she fascinates me. I'm glad you're still here, and the fact that you are, watching or listening all the way to the end means you gave me a chance. This is a new podcast, and it was a big leap to create this for you, something real, thoughtful, and meaningful. We live in one of the most networked societies in history, but somehow we've become the least connected. That's the magic of She Fascinates Me, bringing together real women, real stories, and the quiet alchemy of change. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow or subscribe wherever you watch or listen, and take a moment to leave a quick rating or review. It really helps more people find the show, and it makes it possible for me to keep bringing you conversations like this one. And connect with me on social at She Fascinates Me. Every follow, share, and kind word helps this community of fascinating women grow. I'm so glad we're connected now.